Safar, with a sword, Safar. When it's seen, that's journey, Safar. And it also means to expose. Because a person through journey, his reality is exposed. Challenges, difficult circumstances, not as convenient as when a person is at home. So Safar. And Sufra comes from that word also, isn't it? Because when a person travels also, the Dastarkhan is easily carried. We use the Dastarkhan in the path of Allah, a Sufra. And Ma'idah, as the Quran Kareem is titled, Isa alayhi salam made dua for a meal for his disciples, for his Sahaba Kiram, radiyallahu anhum. So the tablecloth with food is Al-Ma'idah. So one of the incidents that took place, now Safar was a time where the Arabs went, there was nothing in the home, so they went out to acquire and to earn. That's why it comes from the word Safar, which means void or empty or zero. Sifr comes from the same word. Sad, Fa, Ra. Anyway, in our history, a very, very important incident took place in Safar. A sad event. And that was where people of an area wrote a letter to Rasulullah. And this was after Uhud. So two incidents like this happened in close succession. And it brought a lot of grief and pain to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what was the letter? We are asking for your Sahaba to come to us and give us da'wah. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent a group of Sahaba, a Jamaat. The closest understanding of this is a Jamaat. He sent a Jamaat of Sahaba out. On this occasion, they didn't go and battle. That's why I'm equating them to a Jamaat. The closest example of that today is a Jamaat. They went to this area to actually give da'wah. This is in Bukhari Sharif. 10 Sahaba, radiyallahu anhu. Some reports say 6, preferably 10. The Amir was Asim bin Thabit bin Abil Aqlah, radiyallahu anhu. He was the Amir. And among them were very famous Sahaba, Abdullah bin Tariq, radiyallahu anhu, Zayd bin Ad-Dathina, radiyallahu anhu, Khubayb bin Adi, radiyallahu anhu. It was in this month. They went to this area. When Sahaba radiyallahu anhum got there, so Ammara alayhim Asim ibn Thabit. And this Asim, وَهُوَ جَدُّ عَاصِمِ ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab. He is Hazrat Umar's son. Hazrat Umar's son's name was also Asim. So Hazrat Umar's son Asim was named after his grandfather. But how is his grandfather Asim when Hazrat Umar's father is Khattab? So this is his mother's father. Like Imran is the grandfather of Isa alayhi salam. You must tell the Christians this. Jesus' grandfather is in the Quran, meaning mother's father. So Asim was named after his mother's father too. So that's how Asim bin Thabit is. So Hazrat Umar radiallahu anhu was wedded to Asim bin Thabit's daughter. So anyway, Hazrat Asim was the Amir. And when they reached this area between Usfan and Makkah, a tribe called Hudayl and a sub-tribe called Banu Lihyan heard of them, and they came there. And they followed the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, and they tricked the Sahaba. They went for them. So the Sahaba told them, we're not here to fight. And they took resort to a hill. Then they came around the Sahaba. Then they said to the Sahaba, we give you our word that if you come down nicely, get off the mountain nicely, we will release you. So Hazrat Asim told his satis, his companions, I don't trust them. See, Sahaba went here on this occasion to teach. They went to give da'wah. Because the people there wrote to Sahaba, wrote to Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, send your Sahaba. 2 occasions like this happened. One was this incident referred to in history as Raji'. Another very similar incident in close succession. And that is called Bi'r Ma'una. On that occasion, 70 Sahaba were sent. On this occasion, 10 Sahaba radiyallahu anhum were sent, both in close succession. So let's complete this incident. So the mushrikeen told them, come down the mountain nicely, we will give you amnesty. Hazrat Asim said to his companions, I feel we shouldn't trust them. And as some of them gave in, okay, no, fine. فَلَمَّا أَعْطَوْهُمُ الْعَهْدَ وَالْمِثَاقِ نَزَلُوا. a group of them came down. So what the mushrikeen, they said, we give you protection. But they lied and betrayed, and they tied the Sahaba. They took the arrows and removed the string and tied them and were imprisoning the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum. So their words that we promise you to give you amnesty and we just want you to come down nicely and we will release you, that was a lie. That was when a group of them fought. And when they fought, because the tribes that attacked them were many in number, the Sahaba were killed. Among them was Asim radiyallahu anhu. The other 6 went down, they also fought, they were killed. Because at first they gave them amnesty, then they were treacherous, then the Sahaba fought and the Sahaba were killed. Only 3 were left. Abdullah bin Tariq, Khubayb and Zayd radiyallahu anhum. Abdullah bin Tariq also said, no, these people cannot be trusted. He fought, he was also killed. Asim bin Thabit was killed. Only 2 were left, were spared. Hazrat Zayd and Hazrat Khubayb. Remember their names. Khubayb bin Adi radiyallahu anhu and Zayd ibn Dathina radiyallahu anhu. So these 2 Sahaba were spared with an agenda. The mushrikeen, this tribe, wanted to sell them to the Meccans because the Meccans wanted to take revenge. And they wanted to kill these Sahaba, to hurt Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But they wanted to make an incident out of it. Gather all the Meccans, gather all the mushrikeen and torture these Sahaba radiyallahu anhum. So they sold these Sahaba to certain families at high exorbitant rates. So these 2 Sahaba were sold and they were now escorted into Mecca where they were kept in captivity. So they went for da'wah and now they were locked up. They went for da'wah and for ta'aleem. Da'wah and ta'aleem go hand in hand. And every one of us have to be da'i and have to be muallim. This is what we are here for. Give da'wat, create the interest, make the person Muslim, now teach him. Teach those who have talab. And those who don't have talab, ask Allah and make an effort to create talab in them. Our elders say, be talab walo ke paas, be gharaz jakar, talab paida karna. Go to those who don't have talab for deen, who are Muslim, but they don't understand the value of deen. Make an effort that talab for deen comes in them. Our Hazrat Mufti would say so beautifully that even today the students are such that you have to create talab in them. But otherwise the student's name is talib. He's supposed to want and to seek every opportunity to acquire as much as he can for the talab of deen. He doesn't need anybody to instill talab in him. So Hazrat said in such an amazing way that to teach the student is easy and we have to do that. Who's going to go to those who don't have talab? That is difficult. To go to the door and bring the people. That is what we also have to do. You and I, as students of deen, and inshallah you will be muallims and a'imma and qurra and khutaba and all of that. But remember this duty. One of our students was here not long ago. And he studied some years ago, our students also. So I took him with us. So one of my satis are telling him, let's learn also with us how to do this da'wah. He says, no, that's not my job. That should not be our attitude. If da'wat is not our job, then whose job is it? It's first Warathatul Anbiya's job. Da'wat is the work and the responsibility of the Anbiya alayhimus salam. For Sahaba it went without saying, every Sahabi was da'i. Every Sahabi. Radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. So here, Sahaba on da'wat, these 2 were taken captive. What happened to Asim? Hazrat Asim was killed. But the mushrikeen wanted his body because a woman by the name of Sulafa took a vow that I'm going to drink wine in the skull of Asim. And she had offered an exorbitant amount of money for him. So this group of mushrikeen from this tribe wanted his body. When they came to sever his head, to sell it to this woman, Allah sent dabr. You know what is dabr? Dabr is hornets, wasps. It's a family similar to the honeybee. But obviously, it can't be compared to the honeybee because the honeybee will sting, but it will give you honey. The wasp doesn't give you honey. So, Allah sent wasps, an army of wasps to surround the Sahabi and protect his body. Every time they come near his body, they get stung left, right and center. They have to run from there. Then they don't want to leave the money because there's a large amount offered for his head. Radiyallahu anhu. So they await till nightfall. They say when the night comes, then we'll sever his head. And Allah sent such rains that carried his body and concealed his body. Now as soon as the rains and the floods subsided, they come and they see he's nowhere to be seen. That's when he was known as Hamiyud Dabr was his title. Remember, Sahaba, all of them had titles. Not all, there's amazing titles among Sahaba. So this Sahabi's title was Hamiyud Dabr, divinely preserved by Allah in the form of wasps and hornets. Hamiyud Dabr. And then also Allah Ta'ala made it that the earth swallowed him and buried him. Meaning the earth, put it this way, naturally, out of a karama, Allah Ta'ala concealed his body. Anyway, they had to give up on his body. They couldn't find his body. When Hazrat Umar heard this karguzari, so Hazrat Asim was his father-in-law too. So Hazrat Umar was amazed. He said, Subhanallah, Allah preserves the body of the believer in his lifetime and after his death. Hazrat Umar's malfood and statement concerning Hazrat Asim radiyallahu anhu. What about the two? They were kept in Makkah. So in one house, Hazrat Zayd was kept. In the other house, Hazrat Khubayb was kept. And these Sahaba radiyallahu anhum, those who kept them as captive were really inspired by them. In the house, Hazrat Khubayb was kept. The one day, he asked for a blade to clean himself because he knows soon they're going to kill him. They're going to take him out of the haram, waiting for the sacred months to end, and they're going to kill him in public and celebrate over it and so forth. So he wanted to clean himself and so forth, preparing for his maut. And in that, he was very kind to the family. He's tied in one room of the house, tied to a pillar, shackled. So he can't escape anyway. But he spoke very nicely to the children, very polite with the people. So one day a little child got right by him. And he spoke to the child so nicely, the child even sat on his lap. The mother, when she realized sometime later where's her child, she came there. And Hazrat Khubayb saw the fright on the child's mother's face. So she said, you don't worry. Are you worried that I would take revenge on your child because of what you are to do to me? I would never do that. Understanding the context, what it means is I am a Muslim. We don't do that. And this is the beauty of Islam. Islam teaches. Rasulullah ﷺ told Sahabar radiyallahu anhum, when in battle, don't attack children, don't attack women, don't attack people worshipping in their monasteries, elderly people. Don't interfere with them. This is the beauty of Islam. That's why those people who will go and just bomb buildings where there's innocent children and there's women, and that is not Islam. Islam doesn't teach that. That is not the teaching of Islam. When Rasulullah ﷺ was told to kill Abdullah bin Ubay, one of the very important temperaments in our deen to learn is we have to also be concerned, what do people know about Islam? We don't want them to get the wrong information about Islam. When Sahaba said, oh Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, kill Abdullah bin Ubay, because he was an outright hypocrite. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that the people will then say, Inna Muhammadan yaqtulu ashaba. What would people think? That he is my Sahabi, he is a Muslim, and then this rumor would be spread that, oh, Muhammad kills his own people too. So as a Muslim, we have to show the correct image of Islam to the world. So Hazrat Khubayb said, I'll never kill your child. We don't do that. Even though you'll do this to me. She says, Ma ra'aytu asiran mithla Khubaybin. I've never ever seen a captive like Hazrat Khubayb in my entire life. She says, I saw him eat food. Where he got that food from, I don't know. He couldn't come out of his shackles, he was locked. I saw him eat grapes. It was not even the season of grapes. There wasn't a bunch of grapes in Makkah Mukarramah. Who this happened to also in the Quran Sharif? You tell me. Hazrat Maryam. You must tell the Christian. The Quran Sharif says, Hazrat Zakaria alayhi salam used to come. كُلَّمَا دَخَلَ عَلَيْهَا زَكَرِيَّا الْمِحْرَابَ وَجَدَ عِنْدَهَا رِزْقًا قَالَ يَا مَرْيَمْ أَنَّى لَكِ هَذَا قَالَتْ هُوَ مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَرْزُقُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ بِغَيْرِ حِسَابٍ هُنَالِكَ دَعَا زَكَرِيَّا رَبَّهُ. Hazrat Maryam alayhi salam was an inspiration to Hazrat Zakaria alayhi salam to make dua for his child. That, oh my Allah, you provided for Hazrat Maryam fruit and food out of its season. You can bless me with the child to take your name, even though it's out of season. Hazrat Zakaria alayhi salam was a very old man. But this inspired him to make dua, and then the answer came. So Hazrat Maryam alayhi salam became the means of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, and he also was an inspiration to Hazrat Zakaria alayhi salam, because Hazrat Zakaria alayhi salam's wife was the aunt of Hazrat Maryam. So this happened to Hazrat Khubayb. This lady later on became Muslim. Finally, when the day came, when they take Hazrat Khubayb out to kill him, he asked them, can you allow me 2 raka'at of salah? The Sahabi who brought alive this sunnah, this practice. So raka'at before one's death. What a thing. Allah gives somebody, this is how Sahaba were. Seize the opportunity to make Allah happy. Seize every opportunity. You got few minutes, read few raka'at. You got few minutes, read few raka'at. Like you and I, we come into the masjid, Allah forgive us. We're supposed to be here for takbirah ula. Even if we didn't make it for takbirah ula, Allah forgive us. Maybe second raka'ah. We'll wait for Imam, finish sajda, finish first sajda, finish second sajda, come back. Then casually we want to start. Where's our love for Allah? At that moment we're supposed to rush and also make that sajda just for Allah. Seize every opportunity. Read those raka'at for Allah, tahajjud for Allah. The surah we read in the salah was predominantly about tahajjud and dawat. Tahajjud and dawat. Dawat and tahajjud, the first initial efforts of our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So Hazrat Khubayb was brought out and he made 2 rak'ats of salah. The way he enjoyed his salah. Ya la husnihima wa ya la tamamihima. That non-Muslims watching this were inspired. Hazrat Umair says, seeing Khubayb brought me to Islam. He says, I was with the non-Muslims. And then his dua, Ya Allah, you sort them out. Hazrat Umair says, I feared all my life, a thunderbolt will fall on me because I didn't help Khubayb. So Sahaba's life was the means of humanity's hidayat, and their death became the means of humanity's hidayat. In this, my brothers, Hazrat Khubayb read these words. Then they asked him, and this question was posed to Khubayb and to Zayd. What was the question? O Zayd, tell me, answer me honestly. You are here. But don't you think Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam should be here? So would you prefer you be with your family comfortable and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam be here in your place and you with your wife and your children? The Sahabi says, your question is wrong. Were you to ask me, would you prefer being killed or Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam not be killed, be pricked with a thorn? I would say, take my life, but even a thorn must not prick and harm and cause taklif to my Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This was the response of Hazrat Zayd, and this was the response of Hazrat Khubayb. That's why the friend of Allah paints this picture in words of poetry wherein he says, أسرت قريش مسلما في غزوة فمضى بلا وجل إلى السياف سألوه هل يرضيك أنك سالم ولك النبي فدا من الإتلاف فأجاب كلا لا نجوت من الردى ويصاب أنف محمد برعاف. This was the answer he gave, that even blood must not flow from my Nabi. I'll give my life, but even a thorn mustn't prick him. Then Hazrat Khubayb said these words. And learn these words of Hazrat Khubayb. As they raised him, where they raised him? On the crucifix. He was hung. And he says, لَقَدْ جَمَّعَ الْأَحْزَابُ حَوْلِي وَأَلَّبُوا قَبَائِلَهُم. He's talking to Allah. قَبَائِلَهُم وَاسْتَجْمَعُوا كُلَّ مَجْمَعِي وَقَدْ جَمَّعُوا أَبْنَاءَهُمْ وَنِسَاءَهُمْ وَقُرِّبْتُ مِنْ جِذْعٍ طَوِيلٍ مُمَنَّعٍ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَشْكُو غُرْبَتِي ثُمَّ كُرْبَتِي وَمَا أَرْصَدَ الْأَحْزَابُ لِي عِنْدَ مَصْرَعِي فَذَا الْعَرْشِ صَبِّرْنِي يعني يا ذا العرش فذا العرش صبرني على ما يراد بي فقد بضعوا لحمي وقد بان مطمعي وذلك في ذات الإله وإن يشأ يبارك على أوصال شلو ممزعي. And then he says, فوالله ما أرجو إذا مت مسلما على أي جنب كان في الله مضجعي وما بي حذار الموت إني لميت ولكن حذاري جحم نار ملفعي. I'll give you the crux of what he said. He said, Allah, they've gathered so many people to see my death, their children, their wives, and they put me on this trunk. To Allah alone is my complaint. Ya Allah, I'm far from home and my pains I'm going through, only you can help me. And you know their plots and strategies against me. Ya Dhal Arsh, O the owner of the entire throne, the throne that encapsulates the entire universe, give me endurance to bear what they want to do with me. Because Allah, they're cutting my flesh limb by limb, but I'm taking it for your sake. And Allah, if you want, even though my bones and my flesh are cut to pieces, you will put barakat on my body. You'll put barakat on my pieces of flesh that's in my body, that's cut into pieces and mince. Ya Allah, you'll put barakat in my mince and my limbs, even though it is severed. Oh my Allah, I am not scared of death. I have to die. Rather, I face death in your path. What I'm scared of, my Allah, is hidari jahmu narin mulaffa'i. Save me from the fire of Jahannam. And then he says, oh my Allah, I am not worried. As long as I die as a Muslim, whichever side I fall, I am happy. But Allah, take me as a Muslim. This is how Sahabar radiallahu anhum were worried for their iman. And his death became the means of so many people's hidayah. Allah give us tawfiq also, that in our lives also, ask Allah to take us and accept us to become the means of humanity's hidayah. And Allah make it through His mercy, not because He needs us, but through His mercy, that our death also become the means of millions and billions of people's hidayah. We can't do, but we can make an intention. And we can make dua. Allah give us tawfiq. Sallallahu ala nabi al-ummi bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Make our sunnah, make our witr. The Sahabi was facing death, and he said, I'm not scared for death. I would have made long rak'at, but I know you all think I'm worried about death. So you and I, let's not run away from the sunnahs, inshallah.